Welcome back to Chaos Corner. It's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy, and I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Same day coverage, live to tape for show number 30 of Chaos Corner fans. Stay tuned. We have a lot of breaking and trending news. I'm going to cover everything in the world of pro wrestling, the IWC, if you will. We're going to talk WWE Royal Rumble. We're going to talk MLW, AEW Dynamite, Impact, Ring of Honor. It doesn't matter. AEW Dark. We're talking everything pro wrestling here at Chaos Corner for show number 30, as I said. Now, fans, follow me on all social media platforms. That's YouTube, obviously, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Parler, Gab, Instagram, Facebook, on all social media platforms, and Parler will be back. Follow my boys over at The Show, and that's at Mario_Chaos. Now, if you're not using them to put yourself over for branding, for entrepreneurship, for entertainment, for whatever message it is that you're trying to send out to the IWC, I don't know what you're doing. Use them as a tool to give you the rub. That's what I do. I do have some input over there. I do have some creative control. I'm not crazy about all the political BS going on that they're posting over there, but as long as they keep it respectful and equal, I don't mind. But I do have influence. Follow the Mario and Chaos Show. Hit my profile link on Twitter, which is what you're on right now, and YouTube, and that will knock you over to my YouTube channel. There's a lot of great classic footage going on over at Chaos Corner, fans. Hit the like button. Subscribe, retweet, put the bell on, leave a comment in the section. You're not going to want to miss it. I have a lot of news. We're going to be here for at least an hour here on same day coverage live to tape for show number 30 of Chaos Corner. I'll say that to say this. Don't you dare miss it. Stay tuned. We're bouncing over to YouTube. All right, fans. Welcome back to Chaos Corner. As you can see, we have a lot of classic music going on here for a classic guy that puts out a lot of classic information. But today, we're going to keep it current. We're going to keep it trending. We're going to keep it everything pro wrestling. Now, let me lower the music here. I don't want to get too crazy. We have a live crowd. It's been close to 3 weeks since we've been down in the bunker. I said we've measured it out. We're about 16 feet below the surface of the earth. So it's great to be back in the bunker. We were on the road. You saw a lot of those episodes impromptu, but we're back here in the bunker. I couldn't think of a better place to be. So sit back, relax. There's a lot of things going on in the world of professional wrestling, and I'm here to bring it to you. I have a lot of notes. We're going to be ad-lib and organic. We are setting up the live stream in the chat room. That's coming next, fans. It's going to happen. It's taken a little bit of time here on 2021, but you know the GOC is going to get it done, and with the help of my people here in the background, it doesn't get any better than that. Always remember, there's 3 types of people in this world. Those who don't know what happened, those who wonder what happened, and people like the Guardian of Chaos and you viewers that make things happen. Let me lower the distraction a little bit here. You know, we're on solar powered. I always talk about the connection down here with the Wi-Fi, being in the bunker, trying to get people down here. And you know, there's always seems to be an issue. So this is part 1. We hope we don't have to go to a part 2 here of show number 30. So welcome back to the bunker. And again, I have a lot of news, notes, rumors. I'm going to get into the business of wrestling. You fans are well aware of a lot of the news that is happening out there. The WWE sold the WWE Network and all its content to NBC Universal to the Peacock app for $1 billion. That's right. I said it. $1 billion. That comes out to be, if you think about it, the WWE is going to average from this deal, by my math and analytics, you know that's what I try to do here at Chaos Corner, not just about the in-ring action, $200 million a year for the deal. while the WWE Network was averaging $130 million a year, if I got my facts straight. I put things pen to paper, old school, but I try to keep it up here, and I try to get the accurate information. We know it was sold for $1 billion. Now, I don't know about you fans. The WWE Network, to me, personally, was one of the best ideas and money makers that Vince McMahon ever came up with. To go back and to be able to view all that footage and the different programming that's on the network, everything from Stone Cold and The Undertaker's different shows, and to all the different things they put out there on the WWE Network, especially the classic footage, and I love the 24/7. That's, I don't know, some 170,000 hours or something to that effect, if I got my numbers correct, of footage. Now, it's really a deal that Vince made in the WWE for the world, for India, Japan, all the different countries that they're in, because it's not the best deal here for the United States. Look at the money that Vince McMahon and the WWE are making. Now, when I say that, I mean Vince. The shares are down. The stocks are down. The program and the creative is to be questioned, and that's what everyone does. I'm not here to bash, but I am here to question the current product, especially during the pandemic. Look at all the things, as I said, the ratings, but Vince McMahon continues to let the product just coast along, not put a lot of thought and creative and think out of the box. That's not always his fault, although he is the man at the end of the rope. Remember that. As long as Vince McMahon is alive, okay, he's the one that's running the show. Let's make no mistake about it. He's perhaps the best businessman in the last 30, 40, 50 years, and then you get where he gets the relationship from Donald Trump. And I know that is something that's a touchy topic here, but Trump, long before he became the asshole in person that he was as the president, did a lot of good things, but just was not a likable guy. He was loved by a lot of people in the business world and entertainment and politics that all shun him now, and I understand why. Although I supported a lot of different things, I can understand him turning off the whole world. But that's where a lot of people have learned their business from back years ago. So people get all offended and associated and this and that. Let people be people. The world is trending and changing so rapidly and politically and socially and one world. There's a lot of things coming, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the business aspect of what Vince has done and comparing him to Trump, what he did as a businessman long before the politics. So don't get it twisted. Don't come at me. I don't give a fuck if you do. I'm entitled to my opinion, and I'll stick to my core values and beliefs. And if you look out what I put out in social media, not to make it about this, but I will never, let me say it again, ever apologize for who I am, where I come from, what I look like, what I believe in, the color of my skin. You get the point. Ever. So let's get that straight. So bark up another tree, but I know we're all on the same page. So let's keep it positive and back onto what I was talking about. And Vince McMahon and the money that's being brought in for the WWE. Let's talk about. Already he has another 4 years with SmackDown on Fox and the big money that's coming in from being on Fox with SmackDown. We know the hundreds of millions of dollars that they're getting from Saudi Arabia and to appear over there in that 10-year contract. The deal they previously already had with NBC and now Universal. And in my opinion, I've heard other people talk about this, whether it be Alvarez or Meltzer or Wrestling Observer or Fightful. I have my own thoughts. I don't have to listen to those guys. Will the WWE eventually? I mean, I don't know. I hear there's heat between Triple H and Shane McMahon in real life, and we'll talk about that. Think about that. It's estimated right now that the WWE is worth at least $4 billion. That's right, $4 billion. I keep referring to Dr. Evil and Austin Powers. I get it. They could probably be sold for up to, I'm hearing, $6 to $8 billion. It's tough to talk about this in numbers, and I usually don't talk about the business of the business, but that's something that's trending now. So I'm going to give it to you here on show number 30. A live to tape, same day coverage. This will be up today on Wednesday, January 27th, 2021. So as I said, making money, even though the product and the ratings and everything else is just questionable, again, I'll say it, Vince is an incredible businessman. Will he end up selling somewhere down the road? Vince is 74 years old. If Triple H and Shane and Stephanie, and they don't put the rumor, speculation, and innuendo aside of what's happening in personal lives, they're saying NBC may buy the WWE someday. I don't know if I believe that. That's just rumor. And back to what I said, what they were averaging. Again, we know they were sold for the $1 billion. The WWE will get $200 million a year for the deal. That's what I said, for 8 years. And they were only averaging $130 million, and I only say only. And I know I'm repeating that, but it's unbelievable the amount of money that Vince and the WWE continues to make while the talent struggles and has to worry about third-party stuff and cameos and appearances and the pandemic and healthcare and wellness. It doesn't quite seem fair, does it? It just doesn't. Another thing I'm hearing, and this is just rumor, speculation, and innuendo, because we know a lot of the personalities were on this station, the four-letter network, I'll say, and it did a lot of spots with stars, and they put on several WrestleManias last year, if you remember correctly. The rumor is that from right here in the Constitution State, that the four-letter network, ESPN, are they going to ban the WWE now that Vince is hooked up permanently with NBC Universal and the Peacock app, and as I said, with Fox and Saudi Arabia, and tied up in 10 different directions? Will ESPN be kicked to the curb? That's another thing. ESPN may be banning the WWE, and you heard it here. Breaking and trending news, as I say all the time. So I'm not quite sure. I know, we're 10, 12, 15 minutes in here, and we're opening up with WWE news, which I never do, because I have to be honest with you. I tried to give you a breakdown of the other night from Monday Night Raw. I tried to get through the whole 3 hours and break it down and take notes, and I got to tell you, it was almost impossible to do. I'm just going to be honest with the current product, and I'm not here to bash it because I respect everyone. So see what's going to happen going forward with ESPN. That may be out of the loop, guys. That may be done. So that's going to be very interesting to see what happens moving forward, and then maybe a sale. Again, like I said, if NBC was to get the price tag of $6 billion, they'd get their money back in 8 years, if I did my math correctly. So there's a lot of different things going on here to start off Chaos Corner, and to address all this speculation and rumor. I'm hearing there's real life heat from my sources. Now, I have people in certain areas. I'm not saying that's who I got it from. We all know Meltzer, Alvarez, Fightful, JD from New York, all the top people that put things out there. I get it. But I have sources that I get independent, and I put them all together. I'm hearing there's real heat. So I hope it doesn't happen. I would hate to see Vince in the WWE somewhere in the future, 5, 10 years, who knows? Vince passes, like I said, God forbid. It's the reality of life. Will Triple H take over? Will Stephanie and Shane take over? I mean, what will happen? Let's hope they settle their difference and the product can become like NXT, which I say is the best in-ring product perhaps in the world. Speaking of the WWE, go out, fans, and listen to Joe Rogan. Now, I don't know why I'm pushing him when I have less than 100 followers, and I got to jerk off the dog to feed the cat. I mean, you get all that. Unique, unscripted, unedited. Sorry, guys. We keep it the way it is. He's got 40 million subscribers. He's making millions of dollars, but I don't really care about all that. It's not here to compete. I'm here to be me and have fun and put out honesty in the product and the business of what I love and what I know. So go to Joe Rogan, listen to his podcast, because he had The Undertaker on. I know a lot of fans have listened to it. The Taker actually said, and I feel the same way, old school guy, Taker said he doesn't watch the current WWE product. What does that say when your legends, your Hall of Famers, perhaps one of the best ever, as far as gimmick and legacy in the business, says he doesn't watch the business anymore, the current product? There's a lot to be said for that, and there's so much more news that I could throw out here, but I wanted to throw this out here, the business part of it, and the different rumors that I've heard. Again, fans, thanks for being here. I want to give a quick shout out to my constant loyal supporter here at 15 minutes in, and that would be my buddy, Mr. Hempel Stilskin. and that would be at sweetheal.com for all your CBD needs. Now, I don't get it, fans, if you're not using CBD in the 21st century. It's for inflammation, it's for anxiety, it's for soreness and aches and injuries in everyday life, whether it be balms, tinctures, lotions, edibles. I mean, it's in the Constitution state. It's a locally owned, locally grown, legally licensed. Support your small businesses. It's the wellness of the future for all the major sports and athletes, and including a guy right here who's been in and out of the business for 35 years, almost 40 years in pro wrestling, spent 25 years behind the walls, a bounty hunter. I'm not going to run through all that. I don't go a day without it. Sweet Heal CBD products at sweetheal.com. Hit up my boy, Mr. Hempel-Stilskin. If you use the promo code CHAOS, you get 25% off. And in this day and age in the United States of America where the unemployment rate is booming and perhaps the worst in the history of this country, from the pandemic, politics, social, whatever you want to say, and all the riots and everything, I don't want to mix the two. I already have to yell at the show for doing this, and I'm doing the same thing that I'm telling them to settle down on over there, so I apologize. But if you're not using Sweet Heal, right now I have it on my right shoulder, my left knee, my lower back. I mean, there isn't a day that I go without it. So sweetheal.com. I don't want to get too crazy here. Mr. Hempel-Stilskin. So that's what we start with the news. I want to get on to what I watched over these last couple of nights. We know last night, not only Monday Night Raw, I struggled and suffered, and I don't know what I'm going to do in the future with it. Although I respect all the athletes and the storylines. And we'll get to Royal Rumble later on towards the end here and break down what's coming up this weekend, big weekend. One of the best pay-per-views in the history of the business traditionally back in the day, Royal Rumble. Although last year was okay. It was decent. Lesnar, Edge return, McIntyre. Now, this year's Royal Rumble, we're going to run that down. It's going to be empty. There's going to be no fans. It's going to be in the Thunderdome. It's going to be in Tampa Stadium. Not Raymond James, but where the Devil Rays play, the Rays. We'll get on to that. Tuesday nights, I say it all the time, there were 15 matches last night on AEW Dark. All kinds of tag team matches. If you're not watching AEW Dark on Tuesday nights on YouTube, we're getting thousands of viewers, and it's like a homegrown or a talent pool and tryout area, and for the people that are legitimate to get an opportunity in the storylines that carry over to Dynamite. I said it before, you're missing the boat on AEW Dark. I know there's only so much time, but you can catch it when you get a chance on your breaks, whatever it is that you're doing on your downtime. 15 matches, and I was impressed last night. I really wanted to see SCU, the veterans, Kaz and Daniels, who I've been on shows with myself personally, been in the locker room, two excellent professionals, legends, really, took on who I call the Dudley Boys Jr., just as a work. They took on last night Devon Dudley's sons, who have been training for quite some time, Terrence and Terrell Hughes. And let me tell you something, they looked good. The twins, it's nice to see guys that I worked with, Bully Ray and Devon several times for the World Tag Team titles in the NWA and with the Outcast Killers, and had a chance to work with other guys from the Dudleys, whether it be Big Dick Dudley or Dances with Wolves Dudleys. So it's nice to see Devon's doing better with his health issues, so that's beautiful in itself. So it's nice to see second, third generation family, because that's what wrestling it really is all about, even if you're not family. To see his boys last night, Terrence and Terrell Hughes against SCU, they really looked good. Now they lost, obviously they didn't go over, but they looked good, and I'm looking forward to in the future of seeing guys like the Hughes boys, Devon's kids, against Bear Country, who I've also seen within the last year or two working for PAPW, so there's a connection there, Bear Country. I would like to see that because they're currently in AEW. So last night on AEW Dark, all the matches, even Santana and Ortiz, the big stars from AEW, go down to Dark too. And I predict big things for Santana and Ortiz in the future. They're too tied up in the inner circle to be getting the proper tag team push that they need, because AEW is stacked with tag teams, and I'll get on to that. Hobbs, the powerhouse and St. Patrick now as a tag team on AEW Dark. Ryzen and Mike Verna, another Northeast guy, a tag team they've thrown together. The Butcher and the Blade were on there, who are also on AEW Dynamite. So you see the contrast. And it's nice to see some of the female grapplers that we have an association with, and that would be one Ivelisse, who worked for PAPW, is now on Dark and has been on AEW Dynamite, and she's muy caliente. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And another girl from here in the Northeast New England tri-state metropolis area, and that would be one Davianne. It's nice to see her, who's been all over, and she's one girl not to be trifled with. So if you're missing out on AEW Dark, get a chance, catch up on it. There's a lot of great talent there. I just wanted to throw that out, because also last night, Tuesday nights is the next best night next to Wednesdays. Last night was Impact Wrestling. Okay, so that's another great thing. So I did check it out on Twitch last night. I have to be honest. So I want to cover some of that. I'll briefly break it down and run it through here. We're going to run overtime here. This show's going to be over an hour. I haven't been down in a bunker in a while, so this is going to be a lot of fun, guys. Let me just tell you, and I'm just going to keep rambling and going on. We'll take a little break. We'll have some fun. Impact last night. As you know, the association with AEW, you know what's going on with Impact. Although it doesn't always show in the ratings, let's go with the in-ring product. And I see their whole product changing and throwing in promos and vignettes, and they're breaking it up, and they're following the AEW playbook. You can see the influence there in the crossover. You really can if you pick up on it. Now, as a student of the game, I know a lot of you guys are picking up on that. Last night, we opened up on Impact on Access and on Twitch. Rich Swann calls out Tommy Dreamer. Now, it was his 50th birthday last night, so happy birthday, Dreamer. We have worked together a couple of times. I've talked to you on Busted Open Radio. You certainly beat the hell out of me when I was with Ron Zombie, when you had that kendo stick, a.k.a. What people call now, whatever they call it. I call it a kendo stick. Certainly whooped my ass on that, Dreamer. But happy birthday, his 50th, and he's still wrestling. What a legend Tommy Dreamer is. I don't care what anybody says. The innovator of violence. So the current Impact champion, Swann calls out Dreamer on his 50th birthday. Now, this is to set up for No Surrender. I'm a little ahead of myself. February 13th is the next pay-per-view for Impact, No Surrender. And Swann calls out Dreamer for one purpose. He's a legend. It was his birthday. And he wants to take on and earn his stripes against the innovator of violence. Let the bodies hit the floor. The House of Hardcore himself, Tommy Dreamer. So he calls him out, and then one by one, again, you can see the AEW influence here. And so I like it. It's a much-needed, viable alternative. People that bitch and complain about too much wrestling, get the fuck out of here. Go watch something else. You don't have to watch it. And I apologize for cursing. It's not usually my style. Fans, I get it. We have a live crowd down here, and they're trying to jam in here because we haven't been here in 3 weeks. Everybody's negative, and it's all Mi Familia and a couple. You get it, okay? I like it. It makes me makes me perform better. I hope nobody heard that and took that the wrong way. So out comes one by one after Swann and Dreamer. Here comes Sami Callihan. Here comes Chris Bay, another guy who appeared at Friday Night Alley fights for Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. Chris Bay, he comes out. Moose comes out, who really has changed over his attitude and is one dangerous man. They all lay claim to the #1 contender spot. Now, Swann denies everybody because he's the champ. He's calling the shots. I guess you got to talk to Scott D'Amore or Don Callis about that. He denies it. Callihan starts an all-out brawl. You know Callihan. You know his history. You know the story. This guy's ready to take it to your ass at any time. Your head's got to be on a swivel around Sami Callihan. So he starts an all-out brawl. Willie Mack appears out of nowhere. Now, you know the history. He attacks Moose right away. And the blowback from the I Quit match, you haven't seen Willie Mack since then. Another guy that worked for Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling in an unbelievable show. The Chocolate Juggalo, if you will. And one of the best matches I've called locally for the Paradise 4 here in a historical area right down the street for WWE at Titan Towers. So to see Willie Mack come back and him and Moose have an unbelievable rivalry going on in Impact. So I'm really impressed. So Mack comes down. We know what's happening there. The lights go out. Now, I don't know where they got this from, but the lights go out like in the WWE. It's okay. But it's not the same without the live crowd. I keep saying it, and I hope we get back to it someday. The lights go out. When they come back on, you know who appears in the ring? Not only is Dreamer 50 last night, 60-year-old MMA legend, perhaps the toughest man in the world at one time, Ken Shamrock. He appears in the ring, and you know what? He lays out everybody. Okay, now he's obviously, as if you've been following the storylines, he's on the side of the Moose and Chris Bay and Sami Callihan. They all help him out, and Shamrock, and they lay out everybody, Dreamer, Swan, so on and so forth. So from that there alone, that sets up into what's going to happen later on in Impact. So you see all the stars and the storyline and how they opened up Impact. You go on to the next match. It comes out Matt Cardona, the former Zack Ryder, in WWE, who was also in AEW, now in Impact. Hey, at least the guy's working. He's a true professional. He's in great shape. Now, he teamed up with Josh Alexander, and they went over on Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. Ace Austin is a legend. Been around for, 20 years? Cardona hit Fulton with the radio silence. Now, listen, everybody's got a form and a version and their own twist on it. All they are is basic moves that we all used back in the golden era in the 80s and the 90s and even in the 70s. And now everybody puts their own twist on it, but it's the same damn move. So Cardona gets the win there. He pins Fulton. On next is something that's been going on for weeks, and I like the cross. I don't mind it. Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan, they do another paid ad for AEW Dynamite for tonight. And again, we're going to cover that tonight because tonight's a big night. NXT, AEW Dynamite, ton of information. That's why I have so much, and we're going to have a long show today. It's still going to be up long before that stuff comes on tonight. You go to a backstage promo now here on Impact. It's Brian Myers and Cardona, who teamed up in WWE and have that history, and they have a podcast together. So, and they don't even address it. It's like they don't know each other, but if you're fans, you know that. Pretty damn good podcast, too. They talk about collectibles and memorabilia and dolls, and Myers and Cardona were underused in WWE. Let's face it, these guys are talented. So, again, you can see the influence of AEW as far as how they're running the show and the breakdown. They do a backstage things. Now, Myers is pissed at Cardona because he chose Josh Alexander over him, but he said, hey, he's moved on. So it is what it is. You could see something being set up, and I wouldn't mind seeing that, whether they put Myers and Cardona back together or maybe they have a feud. What do you think? I like that. Myers, we go from the backstage with Myers and Cardona and Josh Alexander, and we go on to Myers versus Eddie Edwards, another guy, a local connection. I called some of his matches, and we were in the same locker rooms on the same shows back in the early 2000s. Eddie Edwards against Jay Lethal and my good friend Kurt Adonis. And, I hope you're listening and doing well, Purdy Curdy, because you are the man, brother. Stay strong. That's my boy out there. So Myers and Eddie Edwards, this went about 15 minutes. Double disqualification, two unbelievable grapplers, two guys that have been around for a long time, two veterans. It was total chaos, pun intended, and it's great to see Eddie Edwards and the connections all these years later, because this is the business. And when I say familiar, it's nice to see the young guys and even the veterans that are still around. Hey, listen, I'm going to be honest, Guardian of Chaos isn't too far away, a little in distance from the big 6-0. I know I look 35. I get it. Compliment. Okay. I don't want to be Barry Horowitz, but you know what I'm saying. So it's nice to see the past, the present, and the future and people that you're associated with. That's why I'm in this, because it's so proud to see everyone else do so good. Isn't it unbelievable when you see someone that you respect and admire and worked with and just maybe lent some advice or they helped you out, to see them continue to have success? Praise Jesus, because that's what it's all about, man. I really got to tell you. So back to the moves and the different things. Schiavone and Khan, I know I got off track there. Myers and Eddie Edwards, it ended up in a double disqualification to where Eddie Edwards has this change in attitude. It certainly wasn't like it 20 years ago. He actually is bites Myers, and then there you go with the double disqualification. Total chaos. Myers is busted open, as I refer to some of the notes here. Yeah, pretty interesting. We'll see what happens with there, and I'm interested to see what happens with Cardona. Eddie Edwards has been around forever, and of course his feud with Sami Callihan. It's nice to see. We continue with Impact. Let's go on and let's see what we have there. You see that. Thank you for passing the notes. Bueller, I get it. Thank you for passing them along. let's get on to, we move on with Impact from last night. The promos with the Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Again, you can see the influence. I know I've said it 15 times already. Well, 10 times. Fire and Flavor Fest with Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan, who just won the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Now, they did a nice promo with that, and Johnny Swinger, who's been around for a long time, doing good things with the veteran influence there in Impact. He happens to come through the promo, whatever it's going on with their Swinger. We know the whole connection and the storylines of who shot Johnny Bravo and all that chicanery that was going on with Impact. So they did a nice promo for that, which led into the promo, and it's nice to see him because I love him. Had a chance to be in the same locker room and even worked his private security back in the early 2000s, had a bunch of autograph signings. It's nice to see the agent Matt Hardy and Private Party talking about the tag team titles and coming up for No Surrender. So they're taking on the Good Brothers coming up, and we're going to talk about that. I know it's in the distance. That ought to be a hell of a match because Private Party, guys in their early 20s, they remind me of the Haven, or the Haven reminds me of them, you know, the former PAPW champions, one of the young stallions, so to speak, or the future four at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. The Haven reminds me of Private Party. So Private Party's getting the opportunity of a lifetime to go against the Good Brothers on the pay-per-view coming up. It's going to be unbelievable at No Surrender. So that's nice, and it's nice to see Hardy again. I like to see it, the AEW influence, whether it's Jake, Taz, Tully, Arn, Don Callis, no matter what, bring back Bischoff, Matt Hardy, turn these guys into the veterans and the superstars and the legends and Hall of Famers they are, and let them give the rub and continue in the business. If you're not doing that, how is this new generation ever going to learn about the past with the new school flavor? They just won't have the storytelling and psychology and emotional investment. That's the way I see it. That's going to be a hell of a pay-per-view. I'm looking forward to that. Next, we come up with Tennille Dashwood with Caleb. I will say Impact has a decent, better than decent, perhaps the second best female division in all of pro wrestling after the WWE and NXT. Tennille Dashwood against Rosemary and Crazy Steve in her corner. Rosemary, I respect, came back from a lot of injuries. I'll give her credit for the gimmick. Rosemary goes over on Tennille Dashwood. Now, there was outside interference by Caleb. Tennille hits the low cross body, misses her finisher in the corner, but Rosemary builds the momentum and hits, again, as I say it, their regular maneuvers, as above, so below for the pin, and Rosemary goes over on Tennille Dashwood. Then we go to different things and information coming out of Impact. We know Taya, again, I'll get back to Johnny Bravo, Johnny Morrison, her husband, whatever you want to call the storyline they were doing there with Dreamer and the whole Impact thing and who shot who and court and the courthouse scenes and all that. It's okay. Taya was taken to jail, we obviously know that, for shooting Johnny Bravo, okay, and allegedly set up, remember, Triple XL and Larry D. Now, there's a promo backstage where Larry D is reunited with his Triple XL buddy, and again, another local connection who worked for the Paradise 4, Big AC Romero, mobile, hostile, agile, and nimble. So, Larry D is back. He was framed in that whole storyline, actually framed by Rosemary. So that whole storyline, I've talked about it on past episodes. Go back, do some research on Impact Wrestling. We know that Rosemary and Taya are best friends. They tried to frame them. That was the storyline. So I know I'm going on and on about it, but to my point of it, reunites Triple XL, who I love, Larry D, and my boy, AC Romero. So we go on from there. Next, we have another promo. You could see it. Again, a lot of promos and just the in-ring action. And I know a lot of fans don't like that. They want the in-ring action. The Professor, Rick Del Santo, has said that to me many times. He likes it in the ring, as do I. But I like the entertainment part of it, too, as long as it's not too corny or too cringe. Another local connection, the former Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling Women's Champion, in Impact Wrestling now, Deonna Purrazzo, Kimber Lee, and Sue Young are backstage, and I call her Susan now. They're trying to put their issues behind them and move forward. Deonna Purrazzo, the virtuosa, I gotta tell you, what an incredible lady, not only as a person, but as a grappler, and I wish her nothing but the best, Deonna, and I know you'll end up watching this because I'll send it to you. Unbelievable. They're interrupted by Jordan Grace and Jazz. Now, Thick Mama Pump, we know she's incredible. And, of course, the local connection I have on several shows with the legend Jazz. I love Jazz, and Jazz, I'm going to send this to you too. So Jazz and Jordan Grace, we know the history there. So they come in and they interrupt Susan, Kimberly, and Deonna, and that sets up for Thick Mama Pump, Jordan Grace, and Su Yung next week. So that ought to be interesting to keep you coming back at Impact. And again, at No Surrender, there's going to be Jazz, Jordan Grace. I'm sure there'll be some sort of tag match. Who knows what's going to happen with Deonna moving forward. That leads us into the Fire and Flavor Fest. Now they're in the ring, and that's Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, the current champions, and it ends up in chaos. I'll briefly go through this. Nevia and Jessica Havoc show up ringside. Now, you know the whole history there. That's who they won the titles from. So Fire and Flavor Fest. Somebody say that 3 times fast. 3 times? Anybody? Anybody 3 times fast? Fire and Flavor Fest, Fire and Flavor Fest, Fire and Flavor Fest. Okay, enough of that chaos. So it was pretty entertaining, and it's nice to see Steelz and Hogan get their opportunity for the titles. I see a lot of tag teams in the female division that I'm looking forward to that's going to set up an Impact. So as we move on here to Impact, there's a nice promo with, again, another guy I've been on shows with. He's a great guy in person, very low-key and humble, and it's nice to see the gentlemen are still in the business. This is what spurs on the local people now and the legends and the heroes and the young stars to continue to move forward in this business and to see the attainable levels, and you can make a career out of this. It really is impressive, and that's what makes it worth it. So Chris Sabin and the Cowboy James Storm, I'm sorry about your damn luck. They're backstage, they're having a couple of cocktails, and they're talking about going for the tag team gold. A pretty interesting division in Impact. I would like to see Sabin and Storm against the Good Brothers. Although I think the Good Brothers are one of the best tag teams in the world. Although, you know, I'm a Tamatanga Tangaloa fan. Say that 3 times fast. Tamatanga Tangaloa, Tamatanga Tangaloa, Tamatanga Tangaloa. Peheao Belehidi Kane, Pupule, Wiki Wiki, Mahalo. Say that. Konnichiwa to everybody out there in the Pac Rim. I know you're watching. So we move on to next, Big Joe Doring. Now, if you haven't seen this guy, he's with EY and Diener, Violent by Design, takes on Cousin Jake. Now, that whole storyline there, I like it, but Doring and EY and what they're doing over there is their little stable and Impact is impressive. Doring hits the Death Valley Driver, plain and simple, party over. Violent by Design, EY and Joe Doring. I've been saying it for weeks, months now. We come up on the main event of the evening, and then we'll move on here because I see we're over 35 minutes in. It's just flowing by. And no chicanery, no repeatings. Okay, the main event. Moose, Sami Callihan, Ken Shamrock, and Chris Bay from earlier in the night take on Rich Swann, the current champion, Tommy Dreamer, the legend. Unbelievable. Willie Mack. And then this was the big surprise that really blew up on social media, especially if you're an Impact fan. The return of Trey Miguel. That's right, Trey Miguel returned on Impact Wrestling. So it was an unbelievable bout. Listen, an 8-man bout. You know they're crazy. It's all over the place. It's tough with no crowd. But give these guys credit, and I'll just quickly wrap this up. And here we go. Swann, Dreamer, Mack, and the return of Trey Miguel. They went over. I'm going to break down the finish. Here it is. Shamrock comes out of nowhere and hits Trey with a belly-to-belly. Swann delivers a series of kicks to put down Shamrock. Sami Callihan hits the sit-out power bomb on Rich Swann. Dreamer hits Callihan with a cutter out of nowhere. Chris Bay hits the art of finesse on Tommy Dreamer. Mack hits Bay with a stunner. Moose spears Mack. And then Trey Miguel counters Callahan's pile driver into a roll-up for the pin, and there it is. How about that? And then Ken Shamrock afterwards, after they lost, he attacks the ref as the chains fall off. That's symbolism of what Ken Shamrock did at 60 years old in Impact last night. That's it right there for Impact leading on. And it all makes sense. So good coverage, fans. And I'm glad you're here as we're 40 minutes in. Show number 30, same-day coverage, live to tape of Chaos Corner down here in the bunker. Again, follow me on all social media platforms. I keep saying it. I hope everybody's safe. I hope everybody's doing well, sticking to your beliefs and who you are, praying every day, staying close to your family, working out mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually, and all staying together. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm thinking about all of you out there. I'm praying for you in this country. Be proud to be you are. Don't let anyone judge you by the way you look, and you do not do the same. Don't shut anybody down, and don't let anybody shut you down. 40 minutes in. Stand by as I move on to a lot of information here, fans. This is what you get. I hope you're staying here. The average time, we know what it is on YouTube, but maybe you'll come back. Get us in the algorithm, whether you like it, don't like it, subscribe, hit the button, leave a comment. I appreciate it. Gotta stay hydrated. How quiet. You guys are fantastic. Can I say that? Pass it around. Everybody stay hydrated. So here we go. Fans, we're 40 minutes in. We covered a lot of the WWE and business news and stuff like that. We just ran over Impact. I told you Tuesday nights are great. We really enjoy them. We're going to move on from here on Chaos Corner, and we're going to hop right into, as long as I get everything straight here, because, you know, a lot of people have been getting to me. They've been saying Chaos, leaving me messages, emailing me, and that's chaosbigdaddy2 at yahoo.com. That's right, chaosbigdaddy2 at yahoo.com, or inbox me on any of the social media platforms at Big Daddy GOC, at Big Daddy Guardian of Chaos, at Guardian of Chaos, at GOC Big Daddy on all platforms. And I'll read your question live on air. I'll take your feedback, and I'll adjust the show. So a lot of people have been saying, we want you to go in chronological order, so I'm kind of forced to write things down, but I appreciate your feedback and your critiques. That's why I'm going in order here. Tonight, AEW Dynamite fans, if you've been watching, the ratings have been on an emotional roller coaster between the two companies. We don't know what's going to happen going forward with now NBC and all the different sports. The NHL may be coming on board. NASCAR, it's going to affect NXT on Wednesdays. What are they going to do? NXT, you mark my words, they may be moving to a different night. Something's going to happen. Somebody's going to be affected by these sports that are coming to NBC, especially the NHL. I believe that's going to happen. That's just my opinion. Tonight on Dynamite, Jungle Boy and Dax Harwood, obviously with Tully Blanchard. So it's nice going to see Luchasaurus will probably be in Jungle Boy's corner. I'm sure Marco Stunt will be there. So I'm interested to see them in singles competition and how they're going to pull this off. Listen, AEW Dynamite has been full of chicanery and entertainment and a lot of high-flying stuff, and it gets a little sloppy, but it's different. It's traditional. It's old school in certain ways, but it's new school in other ways. And it's not necessarily the in-ring product that a lot of people are looking for, but you're looking for a show and entertainment and storylines and emotional investment and trying to build stars. That's what keeps my entertainment. I told you I couldn't get through Raw. SmackDown I could watch, NXT for sure, but AEW is bringing it. Make no mistake about it, for a new company. You got to give them credit for what they're doing and how they're using it. I'm not saying I agree with all of it, because I certainly don't. So Jungle Boy and Dax Harwood, it's going to be unbelievable. That's tonight. MJF, the former Le Champion, we have a history too in the locker rooms. What a funny guy. I talked about that story before in a cup of coffee, and you get it. MJF and Jericho tonight against the Hollywood Blondes with Colonel Parker. I don't know if he'll be there, but the influence on the Hollywood Blondes gimmick and the history there, I like that, and it's nice to see young stars, because the Blondes are not new to the business, but new to the big time, and they're getting their shot and their chance against Jericho, who's a legend and still pushing it at 50 himself, and MJF. So that's tonight on Dynamite. Mox will be doing one of his intense interviews. You talk about people that can put out promos and interviews, a la Eddie Kingston. Moxley's as credible as they get. He will be on AEW Dynamite tonight. You're not going to want to miss it. And the thing about Jungle Boy and Harwood tonight, you know, the whole partnership of FTR, obviously, and Luchasaurus. Wheeler and Luchasaurus will be cuffed at ringside. Now, if that's not old school and what the NWA and WCW and old school storylines used to do and the influence of the roads and the people. I like that concept, so that'll be interesting to see them handcuffed at ringside. You never know what's going to happen. And Dr. Britt Baker, probably the best female in their company right now, maybe Thunder Rosa, but she's not there regularly. Britt Baker with Reba will be taking on Shayna. That'll be my bathroom break. Cody responds to Shaquille O'Neal tonight. I don't know where they're going with Jade and with Cody's wife and all this stuff with O'Neal. And they're bringing in ratings, I guess, and money and viewership. And they're trying to get the connection. I understand, and I love Shaquille O'Neal, especially with his law enforcement connection there. You know, he's about the USA and about the people. So I love Shaquille O'Neal. But Cody's going to respond tonight, so that'll be interesting. Again, Cody's one of the best in the business. He has turned out to be a legend like his father, but I don't know where they're going with that. They're going to have an intergender match here? I don't know. I'm not down with a lot of that, and I know that's how the indies are with a lot of different things. That's just my opinion. I don't like it. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't sell for me. That's just my opinion. And we know that we're, at least now, still entitled to our own opinion. I always will be, but they're trying to take it from you. Be careful for what you asked for politically. Everybody, including myself, be careful, because pretty soon, sooner or later, again, okay, at the show, relax, boom, 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 it'll be at your door. Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer. Now, I'm looking forward to this one in particular tonight, and the history with what's going on with these two and what happened with Jake giving him the short clothesline a couple weeks back. So Archer tonight against Eddie Kingston with Jake in his corner. Now, you know the connection I had with Jake and him throwing that snake on me, with me and Julio Fantastico and Jim the Anvil Neidhart against Yoko and Jake. And after I took that 600-pound leg drop, this chain feels like when Jake threw the snake around me. You know, a highlight, but yet a low light of my career. I don't want to get carried away, but I'm looking forward to that match tonight. And now, for the first time ever, for all you smarks out there, no disrespect. Okay, no disrespect, social media. For the first time ever, the Bullet Club tonight, Good Brothers, the Impact Tag Team Champions, and the Young Bucks, the AEW Tag Team Champions. First time ever. Champions versus the Dark Order. I'm sure it's going to be the combination of Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Silver, who's unbelievable, and probably Alex Reynolds. That's what they've thrown out there. So that's also on tonight. And then Hangman Page, who's always entertaining, against a new guy who I don't know a lot about, but they're building him up. I don't know. Who is he? Dolph Ziggler, the Hollywood hunk, Ryan Nemeth. Now, you know his background. Go to research it on DuckDuckGo, because I don't use Google. Go to DuckDuckGo. So the Hollywood hunk, Ryan Nemeth, against Hangman Page, also tonight on AEW Dynamite. So a lot of things happening tonight. And again, Darby Allin will be there, because I want to get to that, and something that I jotted down. It came across my timeline. Darby and Sting, who's finally doing a little bit, and a lot of people are coming at Sting. I like to see him back. I know he hasn't done that much, but it's nice to see his presence and what he's doing. So I'll disagree with anyone who doesn't like that. Or says, why Sting, or taking someone's spot, or the old guy. Get over yourself. That's not what it's all about. It's not what they're doing there. So Sting and Darby will address Taz tonight, and I like where that story is going with Team Taz. But I don't know. They better get some reinforcements, because they have a 60-year-old Sting who's still in great shape, who walks with Jesus himself, and Darby Allin against Team Taz. They better get somebody else in their corner. I don't know who it'll be. Maybe Mox. I mean, I don't know where they're coming from. But Darby Allin is, I guess, politicking or calling in favors with Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville, because he wants to get in Jackass 4, because it's on his bucket list. He wants to do it for his branding. It doesn't get better than with Sting. How about Darby Allin, who we also have a connection? He worked on Evolve 94, I believe it was, in the Constitution State with the PAPW Evolve Super Show, Evolve 95. Darby Allin, Keith Lee, they were all there on the Super Show, along with Richard Holiday and Matthias DiNapoli and Nutrius X and all the different guys from PAPW. That was an unbelievable event on WWN Network. So it's nice to see that connection. And from that, which was only a couple years ago on iPay-per-view, PAPW Evolve Super Show 95, Darby Allin thinking about his branding, has hooked up with Sting, made it to AEW. Give this kid credit. Down with Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville, who got hurt on the filming of Jackass 4. And you know where that generation, where Darby gets his influence in and all that craziness you guys are paying for. And look, the 2 stars got hurt. He'll be on for branding and what he does in the ring. And to see the guys, and I remember myself and Roma and the Paradise guys saying that night, Pretty Paul Roma, saying that night how hungry everybody looked from Evolve and the guys. And you could see it because now it's a couple years later and they're on the big time. Goes to show you what you can do in this business. So that's tonight. It's going to be unbelievable, which we'll cover in next week. Beach Break. We know Beach Break is coming up next Wednesday, and the big match there is going to be Mox and Pac and Phoenix. That's right, John Moxley, that bastard Pox, and Ray Phoenix, another guy from this area who's doing unbelievable against Kenny Omega with Don Callis. We know the connection and Impact, and the Good Brothers. So it's going to be interested to see who is Omega going to pick. He's got this whole thing going on with Callis. Omega's trying to do this gimmick. Who knows where they're going with him? That's another story for another time. And what AEW and what Omega's trying to do with himself. And we know, I'll throw it in as the undercard, which is just as important, the main card, the middle card as the main event. And definitely taking off Macho and Liz. There's no two ways about it in the WWE, and I'll give him credit. Give him credit for using the old storylines. The wedding of Kip and Penelope with Best Man Miro and Butler Chuck Taylor. So there's your entertainment. Professor, I know you hate it, but it is what it is. That's AEW Dynamite leading into Beach Break. There's a lot of different storylines. We know about the Bullet Club and the reuniting and different things that are coming up. So we'll go through it week to week. I will be back in the bunker, hopefully a couple of times a week, addressing this and getting back on track after being on the road. So fans, this will become more of the regular. We move on to also something I want to cover, MLW Fusion, okay, which will be on tonight. Wednesday night, I said Tuesday night is one of the best nights of the week with AEW Dark and Impact and their connection with Impact and AEW Dark and their connection with AEW. So it's a great night on Tuesday nights. But obviously Wednesday, as I ramble through here in my Connecticut School of Broadcasting voice, MLW Fusion also on Wednesday nights, along with Dynamite and along with NXT, which we'll cover, is another product and another group that if you're not following, along with like Ring of Honor and New Japan and things that I say all the time, and this is what I do here. I'm the old school, new school, current school traditionalist Joe Pedicino and Gordon Soley show here. Lance Russell, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. Gorilla Monsoon, who knows, Jesse, Bobby, I don't know. MLW Fusion on YouTube. Just like YouTube is a great place. That's why I'm here. AEW Dark on YouTube. Look at what all the companies do on YouTube. And now MLW Fusion. The biggest thing I'm looking about with MLW, because of the local connection, is Richard Holiday. And we're all breathing rarefied air right now. Holiday will be in a strap match for the Caribbean Heavyweight title against Savio Vega, the legend. Now, it's going to be an unbelievable. That's worth the price of admission alone. The first student to make it to the big time and the first student ever that PAPW built around the Paradise 4, Richard Holiday, will be in a strap match, a Caribbean strap match for the title tonight. You're not going to want to miss it. That's what I'll be watching. Eliminator for the tag team titles, TJP, and let me see if I get this right. I'm usually pretty good. Buku Dao, large individual, against the MMA stars they got down there in ML. Did Bully Ray just say that? I haven't done this in a while. Bully Ray said this to me 20 years ago at least 2 or 3 times that I can remember. Give the Guardian of Chaos 6 spots and he'll fuck up 5 of them. That's what I just did right there. I thought I was Jackie Gleason. Hamana. Eliminator for the tag team titles, the MMA stars, Violence is Forever, Dominic Garrini and Kevin Koo. That's going to be an unbelievable bout. Also, the Von Erichs, they've again, guys that I follow on social media, we've connected. with Dad Kevin over in Hawaii, and now Ross and Marshall. We know they lost the tag team titles to Los Parks. They have kicked it back a little bit. They're concentrating on filthy Team Lawler, and Team Lawler, who himself is got issues with ACH, you know, the former WWE star there. So ACH and Filthy Tom Lawler got something going on, as does the Von Erichs. So they're laying in the weeds. Los Parks is the current MLW champions. We know that. So we're going to see who's going to step up for the titles there. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Ross and Marshall, the Von Erichs. It doesn't get any better from that than that. I'm a huge fan of theirs, and I would love to see them recapture the titles. I would like to see a rematch with Holiday and Hammerstone, the national openweight champion, against the Von Erichs. That's what I would like to see. My own personal opinion. Laredo Kid versus Zenshi for the AAA Cruiserweight title is also tonight. I've told you when I was on the road about my story down in Acapulco and Mexico City back in 1985 and 86. They literally stopped the traffic for me to walk across and to spend that one night at the Mexico Arena. Again, just studying the business, well, not actively in the business at that time, is something I'll never forget. In Acapulco, that's another story for another time. I'm lucky I didn't end up, you know, not making it back, if you know what I mean. So that's tonight. Laredo Kid and Zenshi. We know about Jacob Fatu in the Contra unit. Where is it headed for his heavyweight title? What is Selena De La Renta going to do with Mil Muertes? MLW is loaded. If you're not watching Fusion and getting to YouTube and all the different platforms they're on with MLW, it's an unbelievable product. And of course, the queen of interviewers, Alicia Atout, is always there around stage. I think she's got a crush on Holiday. I think Alicia Atout, and I know you watch, I think Alicia has a crush on Richard Holiday. I mean, come on. Holiday's pure class and glass. Entertainment personified. So I can understand that. Watch that storyline. That's what I have coming out of MLW. There's other stories. Let's not forget the talent they have there. Myron Reed, Leo Rush just got there. Unbelievable. Mads Kruder. Of course, the national openweight champion Hammerstone is international. And Simon Gotch with the Contra unit, MLW, if you're not watching it. And again, I like Bocchini as announcer. St. Laurent, the big guy, the bald guy. I'm not going to disrespect his position, but where did he come from? Someone's giving him a shot. He ought to be appreciative. Somebody knocked on his door. I'm not sure about that. I'm not here to bash anyone, but St. Laurent is one of the announcers. And again, I'll have to do a little more research, but again, MLW. You're missing the boat if you're not watching that. We're just coming up on 57, 58 minutes in. Let's get on to NXT tonight at the Capitol Center and the continuation of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Again, fans, I say it all the time, NXT, to me, is perhaps the best in-ring product. Again, they're doing a little bit better at the Capitol Center as far as crowd. It's tough with Thunderdome and no crowd, and what AEW does down at Daily's Place. I mean, it really has affected the business. I'll run it down quick here because we're coming up on an hour. I said we got plenty of time. Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly will take on Lorcan and Danny Burch. It's a non-title match. Now listen, only Lorcan and Danny Burch are no one to be trifled with. What's going to happen? Will Adam Cole and Roderick Strong be in the weeds? Will there be any interference there? We know the history. What about the Lucha House Party? There's different things that are going on in the tag team division at NXT, so I'll start off with that. And then, of course, we have the Dusty Rhodes Classic. So we'll go on with that. Kushida and Leon Ruff. A lot of people, Leon Ruff has made it big in the business. Kushida, enough said. What an international star. This is the men's quarterfinal of the Dusty Classic. They're going against the grizzled young veterans. Again, these guys I'm familiar with, but I don't know a ton of their background. I haven't done the research, but I've seen them in the ring, so I'm going to go by the eye test. I'm not going to go by what you say. I'm not going to go by what anyone else says. I'll take it with a grain of salt. I'll go by watching it. And if I don't report on it or have a lot of information, that tells you I'm not watching that particular thing. And we'll go along with quarter ratings if you want and compare my viewership to the quarter ratings of whatever you want to. Wesley Nash Carter, the grizzled young veteran. So that will be tonight for the quarters. Killian Dane and Drake Maverick versus MSK. That's the quarters also for the Dusty Classic. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez take on Aaliyah and Jessie Camilla. I don't know a lot about Camilla. They're in the quarters of the women's Dusty Classic, because you know they're both going on at the same time. The quarterfinals for the Dusty Rhodes Classic. I love that idea. So that's NXT tonight. Show number 30, live to tape, same day coverage here an hour in. I hope you're still with us. And if you're not, I hope you came back at some point. Quick agua break. I say it all the time. Fans break. Stretch your legs. Breathe in and breathe out. Goose Fraba. Wax on. Wax off. Cheers. Hey, I feel like I'm watching Bourbon Soaked Live with the producer David and Juliet Miranda. And if you don't listen to Morning Neurosis or at Morning Neurosis and her podcast, The Unwritable Rant, Juliet and David, they're on YouTube too on Monday nights. You're missing the boat. So cheers. It's not bourbon tonight. It's just, it's not bourbon. I promise it's not bourbon. This is where you would have the music on as opposed to listen to me gargle down the agua vase, because I already had a coffee. I already had a Red Bull. I'm on my third, jug of water. No bourbon. So, got to stay hydrated. That's when you have to have the music. This is when I say unedited, unscripted, and you have to do this. You don't have the producer to sit there and go, boom, let me put on the music here while he's going to take a glug or cough or sneeze. There's no button. I see right now Wrestling Observer Radio and Figure 4 Wrestling Radio is coming on. Different things in the business came across my timeline. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about Chaos Corner. Show number 30, live to tape. Doesn't get better than that. We're going to go back to Impact, MLW, different things that I was talking about, and especially NXT, which is tonight. This will be up. Again, we're over an hour. It's going to take a little while, but thank God we're here in the middle of the day, so by the time this gets up, it will be before the shows tonight. Just to give you a little music, a little more background, bring the crowd back to life around here, although I don't know why. Listening to me is enough. I could listen all day. So we talked about the quarters of the Dusty Classic. Also tonight, Santos Escobar and Kurt Stallion for the NXT Cruiserweight title. Now, you see what's going on with Ciampa, who I happen to be a big fan of. The bald head, the beard, he's in incredible shape. What's going to happen with Ciampa? If they ever brought him up to the main roster, I just don't know what they would do with him. I like what's going on with Ciampa. And you know what? Will Pat McAfee show up tonight? He hasn't been around in a little bit. I'm hearing rumors coming across the timeline that Pat McAfee, who has represented himself well as a mainstream athlete, a Hall of Famer, a former punter for the Buffalo Bills, the best at his position ever, on Sirius XM right now. I don't listen to him, but will he show up tonight on NXT? That's a lot of speculation also. Another storyline I'm interested in too, because he's undefeated and he's one of the reasons why I watched NXT, is Karrion Kross. Is he the new Bill Goldberg? The undefeated Karrion Kross? What will happen tonight on NXT? So that's what you have to look forward to tonight, fans. It's a crowded women's scene in NXT. We know that it's a very, very crowded women's scene in NXT. I was talking to you before when I was talking about the Impact and AEW women's divisions. How about this? The local connection, obviously, from back to the House of Pain Pro Wrestling Dojo with Jason fucking Knight, the sexiest man alive, former ECW, WCW superstar. Mercedes Martinez was trained there by Jason at the House of Pain Dojo, right up the road here. I remember Mercedes as a young lady and a talent in the ring. You knew she was destined for stardom then, and she's turned out to be one badass Boricua. I got to give Martinez credit. She's an unbelievable lady, an unbelievable grappler. Crowded division there in NXT. Thank God she got away from the bullshit of Retribution. Another reason why I can't watch Monday Night Raw. Congratulations, Mercedes Martinez. If anybody deserved it, it's certainly you through hard work. That's an example for everyone, male, female, anyone, if you ever want to make it in this business. Mercedes Martinez. Also, let's not forget Ember Moon is back, Shotzi Blackheart, Tony Storm, Io Shirai is the current champion right now, Casey Catanzaro, Caden Carter, I don't know a lot about, Xia Li, Candice LeRae. So there's a lot of different things going on with the women's division there in NXT. So that's tonight on Capitol Center. A lot of different storylines and things going on with the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. We're in the quarterfinals with Ciampa, McAfee, different things that are going on tonight. What else do we have? Let's talk about a quick recap here of Ring of Honor. That was on a couple of nights ago. I'm going to give you a quick recap before we end up the show covering what's coming up this weekend. And I can get on to it because we're here live to tape. It's Wednesday. I can get back on the air definitely by Sunday. Royal Rumble is this weekend. We'll wrap up the show and run that card down quickly. But I want to get on to Ring of Honor because that's the point of this show and going over the hour and not being down in a bunker for a few weeks, but to cover everybody tonight from NXT to AEW Dynamite to AEW Dark to MLW to Impact to now Ring of Honor to WWE to begin with Raw and SmackDown. That's what this show is about. So thanks for sticking with us. I appreciate it. Josh Woods went over Dalton Castle. Okay, listen to this about Josh Woods, who I've learned his history about lately. More so than I knew just by the eye test. He's beaten 2 former champions now. He beat Dalton Castle, and this is how I knew it, because of the local connection and calling his matches and working on shows with him for 20 years, and 20 years ago, and that would be one Jay Lethal. So let's think about the future of Josh Woods. He beats Castle. He makes him tap out. Now, Castle's a tough son of a bitch. Let's be honest about that. Dalton Castle's well-versed and excellent grappler. So to have Woods tap out Castle and know that he's beaten Jay Lethal, he's got a bright future. Here's what Ring of Honor's really building themselves around, and I like it. You got to have soft lips. Come on, I know we're over an hour, but you got to have soft lips. Wow, soft lips, little chapstick. We are in a winter solstice. Thank you. Shane Taylor Promotions. Okay, Shane Taylor, and that's SOS, which is Moses and Korn. I've been keeping up on these guys because I got to be honest, I'm a big fan of Shane Taylor. So tonight, well, not tonight, the results from the other night, Shane Taylor Promotions went over on the Foundation. Now, if you're not familiar with the Foundation, perhaps one of the best groups technically that are together right now in the North American business, or maybe in the world. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. Jay Lethal, John Grisham, and Tracy Williams. Jay Lethal, John Grisham, and Tracy Williams. 3 of the most technically gifted athletes to perhaps step in the ring in the last decade or so. That's just an opinion on mine. So that was something to see Taylor Promotions. That's what I'm talking about. To see Taylor Promotions and Ring of Honor, that's something for them because they went over. Grisham hit an unbelievable shooting star press. Now, you know Grisham, you know who his old lady is. Thick Mama Pump, Jordan Grace. No wonder why they're both fantastic. Jordan Grace and Jonathan Grisham are a power couple. I mean, come on. Grisham hit a super shooting star press. That's one of the best I've seen recently. Let's put it that way. Let me not get too crazy. The bottom line is Jay Lethal went for a lethal injection, but Taylor, and this is what they're really pushing him, Taylor, as big as he is, what is he, 6'2", 325 pounds. Taylor caught him midair, hit him with the, here we go again, welcome to the land for the pin. Welcome to the land. But unbelievable just to be able to take out Grisham and Jay Lethal and Tracy Williams. What does that say for the push that Shane Taylor Promotions is going to get? And for Shane Taylor to actually get the win, they're in line, those 3, for the 6-man tag team titles. And this is what I like about Ring of Honor. This is where I think AEW is trending. 6-man tag team titles, Impact as well, obviously. They're going to go up against the Mexa Squad. Now, I can't think offhand. The Mexa Squad is the current Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions. But Shane Taylor Promotions and Shane Taylor himself are becoming a big of different storylines of Ring of Honor. And I have to tell you, I like to see it because Shane Taylor is someone to be a force with, and he's a veteran there of Ring of Honor. Now, I'm trying to think this week, trying to think the next show. It's not tonight. This week, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. That's right. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett are in Ring of Honor. Look at the roster. I know I haven't been giving them a lot of love lately, but this is what this show is about. Look at that. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett will be in Ring of Honor, and they're going to take on two guys that I love and listen to their podcast and follow them on social media and constantly give them the rub and put them over because I like their style, old school, and that's the Beer City Bruisers. Brian Malonis, that's right, the Kingpin and the Beer City Bruiser. That's going to be something. That's something I want to see. Taven and Bennett. Now, Taven's got a huge influence. We know that Bennett has just returned to Ring of Honor. Maria Kanellis is there too. We're over an hour in. We're an hour and 10 minutes in. So that's coming up. That's something you guys are going to want to watch. Ring of Honor, let's face it. Let's look at the roster too. The Briscoes will be getting together soon. Okay, them boys, it doesn't get much better. The veteran leadership and the tag team that they are. And let's not forget Destro and my monster, PCO, at 50 plus years old. It's unbelievable what some of these guys are doing. And that's what I tell you. If you stay with longevity and don't take the crazy bumps this generation is doing, the crazy storylines and doing the risky stuff like the Young Bucks or even what the Hardys did or what Darby Allin does or, the current tag teams that jump all over the place, Lucha House Party. You could say whatever you want. It's entertaining. I love it. But where's your longevity going to be? Are you going to be a guy that's going to be able to come back and do the things that some of these legends right now and people that are doing that are 50 years old or 60 years old? I'm not saying that's what you want to do, but the point is you want to continue to earn money, earn income, and have longevity. That's my point. I don't want to get off on a soapbox. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, I already talked about that against the Beer City Bruisers. You got to listen to their podcast. Also, a pure title match. Grisham, the champion. He's the pure title champion. We know that. I talk about Grisham. I say his praises all the time, not only because of what he does with and to Jordynne Grace. I'm just saying. But because of the wrestler he is in the ring. He's the current pure title match. I couldn't think of a better guy, more deserving, who earned it, obviously, against Joe Keys, who I don't know a lot about. Also, we know that the Ring of Honor TV champ is Dragon Lee. I believe he's taken on... Dragon Lee is the current Ring of Honor TV champion. I think Ray Horace. So that just goes to show you a lot of talent. And I know I was talking about PCO. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about guys that are that age and doing what he's doing, from the Quebecers to Jacques Lafitte to Pierre Cara Alouette. PCO, the monster, is unbelievable. And his vignettes that come out on Mondays that I put out on my social media are unbelievable. So big props. I know, listen, I'm over an hour. I'm an hour and 12 minutes. I don't know if PCO will watch this. I'll send it to him if you want to watch it to the end. I'll put it in a timeline. I'll try to break it down, but PCO is unbelievable. Big props, big respect, my monster. Let me get off that. So that's what's also going on that just happened. The results that I just got through watching it myself via YouTube, reading different reports and things that I had taped on my DVR. So it's nice to see Ring of Honor. And I will be watching Taven and Bennett versus the Beer City Bruisers. So fans, that's something that you got to keep an eye out. I want to wrap this up. Boy, I tell you, there is a lot of stuff going on. Maybe I won't even get into covering the WWE Rumble. Today is Wednesday. I could always come back, right? I could always come back Friday or Saturday to break down the Royal Rumble and make it more relevant. And maybe I could just stick with getting this up right now, seeing that we're coming up on an hour and 15 minutes. I think that's what I'm going to do. So, fans, I appreciate you being here. It's an hour and 14 minutes. It's an hour and 14 minutes. And I think we're going to save Royal Rumble. Listen, it's going to be a 30-man match, 30-woman match. It's going to be unbelievable. All the titles are going to be on the line. I'm going to save that and give that a full hour, 45 minutes itself, because it deserves it. The history of Royal Rumble, the WWE, we'll talk about that. But watch tonight. I want you to watch the current results and go back and check what happened a couple of days ago with Ring of Honor. I want you to check out what happened last night on AEW Dark and on Impact. You're not going to want to miss that. Tonight we have a lot to look forward to with MLW, NXT, AEW Dynamite. You're not going to want to miss it, fans. I greatly appreciate you being here. Follow me on all social media platforms. I told you, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Gab, Rumble, and Parler will be back. I don't want to get too crazy. I have about 30 seconds here before I wrap things up, but show number 30, live to tape, same day coverage back here at the Bunker. It's been unbelievable. It flew right by an hour and 15 minutes. It really did. I mean, a lot of people that I listen to and watch on the regular, they always go well over an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, but they do it live. They have it chats, but they seem to get anywhere from 150 to 350 to some of them 800 to someone like JD 1,500, 2,000 viewers live. Some people live to tape get thousands of views. So I got to tell you, hit us, get us in the algorithm. Let's brand. We're going to put it out for you. We'll have one show coming up where I'll do everything just about the people that I listen to, that I follow, or someone that you want to turn me on to that I could start following. So, and if you want political satire, I just want to say this, because I don't follow a lot of different guys. I really don't. I listen to a lot of different people, but I don't follow a lot of people. But if you want parody and political satire and not too serious, follow the former NWA announcer, associate commentator, podcaster, Mr. Adam Rotella at Rotella Streams. I got to give him a lot of credit. He streams definitely every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, covers a lot of history, a lot of interactive in the chat room. Very interesting. And guess what? It's all political satire and parody. That's what Rotella did in the past. And then, of course, he learned a lot of things and doing things with the NWA and working for such a professional group with Billy Corgan and all the guys over there. So a lot of people branch off and do their own things, and people have opinions. It is what it is. But if you want to check that out, me personally, follow me on all social media platforms. It's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy. Show number 30, same day coverage, live to tape. I'll say that to say this. Don't you dare miss it.